the next step for us is going to be setting up the actual hardware to be applied to the model itself. Okay, and that part's actually remarkably easy. What you'll need to know is that the surface box gets paired up with what's called box morph. And box morph is essentially what takes a separate remote geometry and then it basically draws a box around it like you saw in the preview, draws a box around it, and then remaps that geometry back into these boxes in whatever position or orientation, location that it happens to be in that particular surface or in that particular mapped condition. So anyway, what I first want you to understand is the relationship of the box that we create to the geometry that we have here. Okay, so I've kind of got it pre-set up for you where it sort of needs to be, but we're going to do some more exploration here. To get us going, we need to create the boundary box. The boundary box is found, just a sec guys, I need to find it again. Ah yes, under surface and primitive, bounding box. Now bounding box is going to accept a geometry input, and you don't really need to worry so much about orientation plane. Well, you might, okay, because you can change the orientation of the bounding box to change your origin, essentially. And then on the output side, you'll have the list of boxes, and then you also have the bounding box itself. Align, bounding box and world coordinates, and orientation plane coordinates. I think we want the world coordinates one. So what we're going to do is go up to params. Oh, sorry, this is under surface primitive. We're going to go up into params, and we're going to reference in under geometry the generic geometry input. And we use this because the idea of a geometry versus anything else is quite different than using like a B-rep or a polysurface or something like that, or just a surface itself. So you can set one geometry, and when you click this, I want you to be aware that it selects the entire thing. If I, and when I plug it into the C value here, it reads it as one geometry. That's very, very important to know, because that one geometry was built off of multiple objects that I had to Boolean union together. And I did that because the bounding box will read, let's say I select multiple geometries, for instance, and I select all of these. It's going to read each one as a separate value. It will also take all three of these separate values and remap them to fill up the entire box. All three of them are going to fill up the entire box. So they must be one contiguous object. Oh, I need to go back here. Set one geometry. I'm going to select this one. Okay. Now, what I want to do here is basically take that box output, and I'm going to look at its points and the orientation that it has. So I can do that by going to Surface, Analysis, Deconstruct B-rep, and I can get my points list off of this. So under Display and Vector, I can go to Point List, and I'm going to plug my vertices into Point List. Then I'll take a slider from 0 to say 5-ish, and size it up. Whoa, that got really big really fast. I forgot how small this is. Hang on. 0 to 0.55 to 1. There we go. Okay, so here is essentially the orientation. My armature has obviously a a thickened part of the arm and then a thinner part of the arm. I really only did that just to provide some differentiation so we can see the difference between the two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the thickened part of the arm to the glass fin, and I'm going to attach the thinner part of the arm to the glazing element, the actual curtain wall. So I need to make sure that the 2, 3, 6, 7 surface is aligned with the fin, and then I need to make sure that the 0, 1, 2, 3 surface is aligned with the curtain wall. So we're going to double check that here in just a second. So to do that, I'm going to pick a box and plug it into the deconstruct brep. Just override the connection, and it'll read the output here for me. So in this case, I've got, let me bump it up in size. My 0, 1, 2, 3 value is actually against the face of the curtain wall, which I believe was correct. However, the 2, 3, 6, 7 surface is at the bottom. So it's not really quite in the right orientation. So let's take a look at what that looks like if I plug that in. Well, oh no, we can't morph it yet. I haven't gotten to the morph part yet. Don't worry about it. So let's go back to this box here and just take a look again at what we want. CS. So that 2, 3, 6, 7 needs to move from the bottom of the box to a box that's going to give me the one that's on the glass fin. So I'm going to jump back up here and I'll override it with like this one and start looking at that one. So, oh, that one looks, which one did I pick first? This one? Yeah, so those ones are probably going to be the same. Let's try the top right. 2, 3, 6, 7 is on the bottom, and 0, 1, 2, 3 is on the front. So then let's try this one here. Actually, is that going to be the same orientation too? I might have to change my numbers in orientation here. Oh, that's right, because my surfaces flipped a little bit from the last time I did it. Yeah, so I probably have to rotate my geometry or change the plane. This is actually a good thing. So anyway, what I notice here is that there's not really a match. So in order to kind of visually be able to see the relationship a little better, I'm going to move into box morph now, box morph now, so that we can really just get a firm understanding of what is truly changing without having to get into the minutia of point lists. Okay, so I'm going to, I'll stop this video here real quick and then I'll get into that in just a sec.